Hi everyone, I'm Ash Reed, and today I'm really excited to talk to you about how to scale your site from 0 to 100,000 page views per month using Webflow. So throughout this talk, we'll cover how to find unique content opportunities for your business, how to find your own angle on those topics, and then how to create content that resonates with your audience and ranks in Google search to help you to grow your business. As I mentioned, I'm Ash, and I'm a writer, content strategist, and I work a lot with software companies and B2B brands on scaling content and growing business through content. And last summer in 2020, I founded a side project called livingcozy.com. And Living Cozy is a site all about direct-to-consumer homeware and furniture brands. And since launch last summer, Living Cozy has scaled from 0 to 100,000 page views per month. And I'm going to share with you the steps I took and the lessons I've learned from growing that audience over the last year or so. Now, the first part of building a successful site is actually just the basics of getting your site set up. And these kind of apply whether you're using Webflow or any platform. So the first thing you want to do when it comes to design is to make sure that your content is easy to read and it works well on mobile. Most of your traffic is likely to be on mobile devices now in 2021 and beyond. That's probably only going to grow. And it's really important to make sure that you have a really clear content hierarchy. So that means making sure that you're using the right headers in the right places, because as much as we'd love people to read our content word for word, the reality is most people scan through content on the web. So you want to use headings and formatting like block quotes, bold, to make it easy to scan through your content and for people to pick out exactly what they want to read. And other kind of best tips that I have is to try and keep your page distraction free. So you don't want like tons of pop-ups, you don't want slide-ins, things taking people's concentration away from your content. And you also want to use contrasting colors. So where possible, try to have like a light background and dark text, maybe with light. Like I use yellow, for example, for block quotes and links. So just kind of try and use contrast to signal to people where they should be looking at what point. And the next thing is to just make sure that your site is set up well for search. So you want to have in your Webflow CMS, you want to have a clear field for the title of your post and then the meta description of your post. And the best practice for this is to make sure that they work well, again, for mobile. So currently on mobile search results, Google will display titles of up to 72 characters and meta descriptions of up to 172 characters. You want to stay within those limits so that your title and your meta description display properly on mobile and desktop. And another best practice specifically for Webflow is just to tidy up as you go along. Building a site can get messy. And as you go, you want to remove any pages that you're not using, any images that don't make the final cut, and also try to tidy up and remove styles as you don't use them anymore within Webflow. Once your site is set up, it's all about uncovering the opportunities for your business to grow and to be discovered through content. And the first thing I like to do with this is to just ask yourself, what do you want to be an authority on? Like, what is the 3 to 5 key things you want your business to be known for online? And to kind of discover this, it's really important to ask yourself questions like, what problems are you solving? What do your customers care about? Where do your customers currently feel stuck? Like this one is really important and often overlooked. Like what do you actually care about enough to write about for the next 3 to 5 years? Because content isn't going to, like, building a content site isn't going to be an overnight thing. You're not going to publish something today and be a success tomorrow. It's going to take years to really hit where you want to be. So you need to make sure that the topics you pick, the areas you want to focus on, you care enough about to actually write about for 3 to 5 years. And once you've come up with those topics, so for me at Living Cozy, I picked like furniture, sofas. I really honed in on sofas, outdoor furniture, and cookware. Like they've been the 4 areas that I've focused on so far. And my advice is to kind of begin with those 3 to 5 topics that you've come up with and just start keyword research. So as you're looking for keywords, you want to look for something that has 3 things. So the first is it has to be something that people search for. And you can see that defined by search volume. The second thing is you don't want too much competition, right? Like you don't want too many big, high authority sites trying to rank for that keyword. So you're looking for a keyword difficulty that when you're starting out is quite low, like probably under 10 using the Ahrefs measure that is shown on this screenshot here. And then the third thing is it has to have a really clear fit with your business. There's no point writing about something if it's not going to help to grow your business in the long run. So I tend to start like using this free Ahrefs keyword generator, put in a couple of keywords around your topics. Like here, I've just searched for furniture, and gradually kind of get more and more granular, niche down to like more and more like smaller topics within your big topics. And eventually you'll find some really nice keywords that you can rank for. And another thing that I like to do to uncover keyword opportunities is to just look at what your competitors rank for. So in this example here, again, I'm using Ahrefs, and I've searched for a site which is a bit of a competitor of mine, thespruce.com, but the Spruce is at a completely different end of the scale to me in Living Cozy. The Spruce has over 30 million page views per month, but I can look at their site, and you can see here in the orange colors, the orange filters at the top of the page, that I've filtered for keywords that have a volume of 300 to 1500 and a maximum difficulty of 7 to try and uncover opportunities that I can probably compete with the Spruce on if I write the best possible guide. So you can see at the top here, the number one like top result there is couch with removable covers. Now, to the Spruce, that only generates 300 page views per month. They probably don't care too much about that page. But for me, when I'm just starting out, I can make the best guide possible for that keyword. And I can really kind of take ownership of that and get my site from 0 to 300 views with that keyword. And building on top of researching competitor content, like one of the things that I really like to do is target what I call throwaway content. And throwaway content is essentially articles and pages that are from high authority sites. So that's like big name sites with a lot of backlinks that are ranking purely because of the authority of the site, not necessarily because of how great the content is itself. And often these pieces, you'll discover them, they'll be like more than 2 years old, maybe 1,000 or less. Like 1,000 words or less. And oftentimes you can tell that they've been put together quite hastily, like they don't have expert quotes, they don't feature other people, it's just one author kind of sharing their thoughts and ideas. And from the screenshots on the right, you can see like at the top, this was an article that I discovered from Apartment Therapy. And it was about deep seat sofas, which is actually a highly searched keyword and highly valuable to a site like Living Cozy. And by putting together what I would call like one of the best guides to deep seat sofas online, I was able to outrank this page from Apartment Therapy and take the number one spot for this keyword, which is an article that now generates about 5,000 visits per month from my site and has also started to generate a bit of revenue for me as well. So as you look at competitive content, try to look at these like throwaway pieces, the pieces that haven't had as much effort put into them as maybe they should have had. And these are the ones that you can start to pick off and target, even if your site is just starting out and you're competing with a big name in your industry. Now, once you've discovered, a bunch of keywords that you'd like to target, you've figured out the topics that you want to be an authority on, it's time to create a plan. And when it comes to creating a plan, I like to just set a target. And this is just like a really, really important part of it, is just to set a target that you're going to commit to no matter what. So it's really easy in the content game to write 1 or 2 posts, not see that traffic come in instantly, not feel like they've been successful, and honestly just like give up and move on to the next thing. But what I would challenge you to do is just set yourself a target, whether it's 10 posts a month for 6 months or 100 posts in your first year. The number doesn't really matter too much. You just want to give yourself enough time and space to see success starting to shine through. Because content can take time. It can take months and months for you to write an article and for it to start generating traffic. So when it comes to planning, I would say just give yourself a target, pick a number and work towards that. Then once you have your number in mind, say if it's 100 posts in year 1, set a publishing schedule. And I like to break this down monthly. When I first started Living Cozy, I set myself the target of 1 post per week. And now I have like a couple of freelance writers that help me out, and I aim for 8 to 10 posts per month. So once you've decided on the number of posts that you want to commit to, whether it's 50 in year one, whether it's 10 a month, whatever it is, it's really important to set yourself a publishing schedule. And for me, when I first started out with Living Cozy, I set myself the target of publishing one article per week. Now I have a couple of freelance writers that help me out with the site, and I aim to publish 8 to 10 pieces per month. But as you set this schedule, there are two things that I really want you to keep in mind. The first is you need to make sure it's achievable. If it's just you and you're working on this project on the side, maybe it's not your full-time gig, don't set yourself a target of publishing 5 articles per week. So you need to make sure it's achievable so that you can build momentum and really start feeling good about yourself hitting these targets. And the second thing you need to keep in mind is content can be a slog. It can be really, really hard to constantly be creating new articles and new blog posts. So every month, make sure there's at least 1 or 2 pieces of content that you're really excited about, that you can't wait to write. Because this will help you to build momentum and again, start to feel good about what you're publishing. Not every post will be that way, but as long as there's 1 to 2 pieces per month that you're just really excited about, you'll easily get into a flow and start to feel a lot better about what you're publishing. So with your publishing schedule set, and maybe you're doing 10 posts per month, like I'm aiming for with Living Cozy, the next step is to start figuring out how you can write content that resonates with your audience and also ranks in Google search. The first step to achieving this is doing your research, right? There's no point going in and just blindly writing about a topic just because you discovered the keyword. Now, the first step to this is to take a keyword. So you can see in this example, I've taken the keyword modern desk chairs, which is an article that we're actually working on at Living Cozy right now. And I've used a tool called clearscope.io, and that shows you what is currently ranking for that keyword right now. And what this will help you to do is to look at the top results for that keyword, show you what's currently there, and then you can start to formulate what your article needs to cover. What do you need to talk about? And if you look at the top 3 to 5 results, you can start making a note of what headings do they use, what questions do they answer, what do they talk about. And that will help you to build a skeleton of what your article needs to cover. And also on top of that, it's really, really important at this stage for you to start looking at what's missing from these articles. What can you do that no one else is doing? One of my first editors that I worked with gave me this piece of advice, and it stuck with me since then. And that was, everything has already been said online. It's just not been said by you yet. And that's the really, really important part here, is to figure out what you can say about this topic that no one else has yet. And when it comes to figuring out what you want to say, how you can find a unique angle, one of the best things you can do is to find outside experts who will help you with this article and will contribute to the piece. Now, this quote on the right is something that I think about a lot. And it's from Jeffrey Keating, who used to be head of content at Intercom. He's now at Segment. And it says, I think it would be quite disingenuous if I sat down and started writing an article about the future of design. The best writing comes from lived experience, and that article is going to be much more impactful if it actually comes from a designer. And what that's saying is you really want to focus on giving firsthand experiences to your audience. So with Living Cozy, we talk a lot about interior design, about furniture products, but I'm not an expert in that area yet. So what I do is make sure every article we publish, I have the thoughts of at least 2 or 3 subject matter experts to really give credibility to the piece, and also to give advice to people that they can't get anywhere else on any other article. So I'm not just looking at what's ranking in Google and recreating it in my own words. I'm finding a unique angle from experts to help me to say that. And you can see in the screenshot that I have here, this is from an article that we wrote about outdoor furniture. And it features a brand called Floyd. And I actually spoke to one of their co-founders about how they developed their outdoor furniture range and why they launched it. And this gives an angle to my outdoor furniture article that you don't get anywhere else in the search results and helps to make it unique. And when it comes to finding people to contribute to your articles, you don't need to start cold pitching everyone in your industry or reaching out to people and trying to get them to contribute to your articles. There's a really great site out there called Help a Reporter Out, or Harrow, as it's known for short. And what Harrow does is connects journalists to sources. So when I want to know something about interior design, I will send out a Harrow request asking a bunch of questions that I have about a set topic. And then in response, a load of interior designers will pitch me their responses, share their thoughts, and I will pick the best contributions to help formulate the article and to help get this unique perspective into my pieces. And this is like, writer's block is the toughest part of writing. It doesn't matter how long you've been creating content online, there is nothing worse than staring at a blank page. So what I try and do with every article we write, whether I'm writing it myself or whether I'm getting one of our contributors to write it, is I'll put together a super detailed content brief. And these can sometimes be anywhere from 500 to 1,000 words. And what I'll do with these is use the expert contributions that we have to kind of form the skeleton of the article. So you can see in this screenshot on the right here that we're writing a piece about solid wood furniture. And under the heading, what is solid wood furniture? We have 3 quotes from experts, from brand founders that make solid wood furniture. And then you can see the H3 heading, the difference between softwood and hardwood. And again, below here, we have 2 or 3 quotes from experts. And this makes writing a draft like 10 times easier. So I can pass this on to one of our contributors, or I can take it myself. And now instead of starting from a completely blank page, I have an outline of exactly what I need to say. And my job isn't so much about coming up with this content from scratch. It's about linking all of these pages together, all of these pieces together into one solid, engaging, and interesting narrative for our audience. And the one thing that I think people mistake about creating content online is that it doesn't have to be perfect at the first attempt. So sometimes what I do is I practice this way of publishing that I call like layering up content. So I'll publish V1 of an article knowing that it's not quite finished. And then over time, I'll go back to it and add new layers. So this could be adding in new quotes from founders of companies that are featured. It could be adding more insight, answering more questions. So the screenshot here on the right is from an article that we published on sectional sofas. And to begin with, it was just a list of the best places to buy sectionals. Over time, what I've done is gone back and added in expert quotes from the brands that we feature. And as you can see in this section here, I've added an explanation on what exactly is a sectional sofa. So this piece went from maybe 1,500 words when we published up to about 2,500 now, and 1 to 2 expert quotes, now up to like 5 or 6. And I'm still constantly looking for ways to improve this article and layer it up over time. Once you have your content out there and ready to publish, you need to start thinking about promoting it and building links to it. It's not enough to just put a piece out there and hope that it lands and resonates and hits and drives lots of traffic to your site. So one of the best ways to actually start promoting a new piece of content when you're a brand new publisher or site is to source partnerships. So this is something that I started doing pretty much as soon as I launched Living Cozy. And partnerships don't have to be big things. They can just be featuring quotes from people in articles. It could be creating something that someone else is going to share on their email list or share on social. So you can see in this example on the right, I partnered with Andrea, who runs a publication about snacks called Snack Shop. And over the holidays last year, as people weren't traveling, we decided to create a guide on snacks you should use to make you feel like you're traveling over the holidays. And I published it, and then Andrea promoted it across social and her email list. Another really, really important part of promoting articles is building backlinks to those pages. Backlinks are a way for Google to kind of discover how authoritative a site is within a certain niche. So for me, it's been really, really important to try and get backlinks from other sites in the furniture niche, from furniture brands, from publishers in that niche. And one of the best ways I've found to do this is to actually interview people from those brands. So I have a list of about 200 brands and 2 columns. In one, it just says, are they on Living Cozy yet? Have I created a page about them? And the second column is, do they have a press page on their website where they just round up all of the times they've been featured in press? And if they do, I prioritize writing about the brands that have the press pages, write an interview with someone from the team, maybe their founder, and then I'll actually ask for a backlink to that piece. And that was how I was able to build like my first 10 to 15 backlinks. But you don't have to go through like all of that trouble every time you want a backlink. You can also use Harrow, as I mentioned earlier. Like I use it as a journalist, but I also use it as a source. So every day I check the help reporter out emails that I get, and I'll respond to any queries that are relevant to try and get backlinks. And I've landed links from sites like mydomain.com, from realtor.com using this technique. And like the final thing you really need to think about when it comes to links is internal linking. So internal linking is really, really important for helping Google to navigate your website. And as soon as I hit publish on something, I like to go back through my archives and try and find at least 5 pages where I can link to this new piece of content, because that will help Google to discover it, but also show Google that this page is really, really important to me and should be ranked. And another way that I like to promote content is just find communities. So no matter what your niche is, there is an online community for that niche right now. I'm really lucky in the home space. There are like so many. And one of the places I found some early traction, this is before any of my content started ranking in Google search results pages, was actually on Reddit in the furniture subreddit. So every day there's people in there asking questions like, I want to buy X type of sofa, or I need this type of chair. And what I would do is just go in there and answer their question, but also provide a link to an article that could maybe help them from my site if I had one. Sometimes I would also just answer them without linking to try and like build up a bit of credibility in the community. And that was a great way for me to kind of get my first like 10 to 20 visits per day. Like I still now get visits from Reddit, and it's really worth investing in community, not just for traffic, but also for content ideas. It's a great way to see what people in your niche are talking about, what problems they run into, and to find inspiration for the content you should create on your site. And the final step I'm going to talk to you about today is how to measure your results. And I think this is somewhere that people often go wrong when it comes to content and creating and publishing content. Because the thing is, it takes time to succeed. It doesn't happen overnight. And you can see here, this is a screenshot from my Google Analytics. And I started publishing on Living Cozy last spring, like maybe late spring, early summer. And you can see from the screenshot, around December time is when it really started to take off. So it took over 6 months really from when I started publishing to when I started seeing meaningful traffic on my site. And then you can see from December how quickly it's been able to grow since then. So it's really important to stick with it for the long term. And that's why I suggested earlier that you create a plan, you give yourself a set number of posts you want to write in year one, and don't worry too much about the numbers until you've hit that target. The last thing I want to share with you before I wrap up today is my approach to measuring the success of content. So I'm going to give you the 5-step process I use to measure how successful your content is and how your site is performing. So the first thing that you need to care about is what I just mentioned, and I've mentioned a couple of times in this talk, is just the number of articles you've published. Have you hit the targets you set? If you said you wanted to hit 50 articles in year one, have you published 50 articles? If it was 10 posts per month, have you hit 10 posts per month for the last 3 months? If you haven't, don't worry about measuring anything else, just focus on the output. But then once you have the output nailed down, it's time to start thinking about the number of organic keywords your site ranks for. And this can be measured by Ahrefs, which is a tool that I use, or almost any other SEO tool like Google Search Console or SEMrush or Moz. And here, you're not really worried too much about where your content is ranking. It could be number 1, it could be number 100. You just want to see that Google is starting to rank your site for relevant keywords in your niche or in your industry. Then once you've started to rank for keywords, it's time to start thinking about how many impressions you're getting. And this means how many people are seeing your website in Google results pages. And this can be measured for free using a tool called Google Search Console. And I use this every day. It's amazing. Like, honestly, it's one of the best tools for measuring content performance, and it's free. So there's no excuse not to use it. But here you just want to see like how many impressions are you getting? Is this number going up? Because the idea as you move down this scale is that as the number of articles you publish goes up, so will the number of organic keywords, as will the number of organic impressions. And then eventually, as we get to numbers 4 and 5, you'll start to see your organic traffic is going up. And then whatever your end goal is, whether it's signups or sales, for me, it's sales. It's how many sales am I generating for the brands featured on Living Cozy? And only once like I hit that December, like 10,000 visits per month, and that started to scale, was I able to focus on how I was actually performing at my end goal. And I think this is the biggest problem people run into with content. They focus on that number 5. They focus on, am I making sales? Am I making signups? Am I growing my email list? When really they haven't given their content enough time to go through the first 4 steps of this measurement framework. So that wraps up my talk. And I really hope that you've been able to take a lot away from this and learn how to uncover content opportunities for your business, how to find your unique angle, and then how to create that content that will resonate with your audience, rank in search, and help you to grow your business. Thank you so much for joining me.